thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So do tell us, what is automated guaranteed and how does it differ from other forms of programmatic?
So the way that we would describe automated guaranteed is, first of all, it's a transaction where the buyer and the seller are both bringing a guarantee to the table. So unlike many other forms of programmatic, the seller is guaranteeing the buyer a select amount of chosen inventory, and the buyer is guaranteeing to pay the seller an agreed price for that inventory. So it's a mutual guarantee. Secondly, the price discovery dynamics are one-to-one rather than one-to-many or many-to-many. So this is about a buyer bringing their buying leverage and a seller bringing their seller leverage. It's almost certainly going to be a pre-existing relationship. It's not an interfacing of algorithms. It's a human connection one-to-one. And so unlike, we often hear this description of sort of, democratization of pricing through auctions and other models, we would suggest there's nothing democratic about non-human based negotiation as it relates to the forward guaranteed market specifically. It's not a market that wants or is looking to be democratized. So that one-to-one interface is really important to buyer and seller. And then thirdly, from a technology perspective, the interface between the buyer and the seller is done directly through an API connection that links the interface of the buyer straight into the inventory source, which is the ad server. So we're not deploying tags, there's no exchange sitting in the middle, there's no DSP, SSP separation. It's just simply a buying interface talking directly to a publisher's ad server.
What are the advantages of automated guaranteed for the buyer specifically?
Principally efficiency. I want to be able to execute a campaign quickly and easily. We know that 2/3 of line items that are purchased for any display campaign are very repertoire driven. So they're well known to the buyer and the seller. A lot of the time intensive process that today is executed through spreadsheets is the lack of available information to the buyer as it relates to what is the inventory opportunity here, and I want to just be able to go in and reserve and fulfill that requirement. So being able to do the same things faster and cheaper and more scalably is number one. Secondly is effectiveness. So the inventory discovery process, by creating an an organised market as we have with Adslot, allows buyers to start to profile inventory in ways that produce subsets of otherwise highly aggregated inventory that are going to meet the performance criteria for a campaign more proficiently. So finding the right inventory quickly and easily is really about effectiveness and being able to drive better performing campaigns through automated guaranteed than if I executed that same budget the old way. And the other benefit to the buyer is that there's no demand side fee with automated guaranteed. And so what that means is there's an economic benefit not just to the buyer and the advertiser, but also to the publisher. It means that more of the budget flows through to the publisher because there is no demand side fee.
Now from the seller perspective, can you also share with us what are the key advantages of automated guaranteed?
Well, they're really the same advantages. Publishers benefit in the same way around more efficient trading. In many cases it means they're actually being considered in a multimedia campaign because the execution is so much simpler and faster for the buyer in a way that they otherwise may not be. Effectiveness, if publishers are delivering good outcomes for advertisers, then clearly that's good for their business. But I think more broadly than that, it's the preservation of that forward guaranteed revenue model for the publisher, which is so important. Keeping in mind that that is ultimately what funds a lot of the premium content that we enjoy on the internet today in a free-to-air sense. So in order to preserve that forward guaranteed model where the commitment of the buyer and the seller is mutual, not just one way, is how automated guaranteed really does differ from other forms of programmatic.
What do you see as the drivers for automatic guaranteed?
So we're seeing a very interesting trend emerge where buyers and sellers are realising that where a buyer wants to target a first-party audience, they actually no longer need to do that through RTB infrastructure. The capability exists already within the publisher's ad server to synchronise against a known list of individuals and target against those individuals. So because automated guaranteed technology is linking the buyer and therefore the first-party data that they bring directly to the ad server of the publisher who can target on that same basis, we don't need to go through a convoluted process such as an exchange in order to deliver against that first-party audience. So that brings about all sorts of interesting dynamics and opportunities, particularly when you consider the economic benefits of no demand side fee. And in addition to that, we're not charging, data fees and data management fees and all these additional things. So it just again means more of the client's budget is actually going to the campaign objectives as opposed to being siphoned off in the middle. And then to the more general point, which is that the key growth driver for us, certainly what we're seeing at least, is just this concept of behavioural change. We've witnessed an awakening of the industry in 2015 to what automated guaranteed is, the benefits it offers. We've seen a number of agencies and publishers move to the technology, and average transaction values are growing, activity is growing. But I think 2016 will see an acceleration of acceptance around this behavioural change. And so whilst it's new and it's different to the way we've done it, it's not truly a disruptive technology. The same participants, buyers and sellers, are transacting probably the same inventory at probably the same prices, but they're doing it through a purpose-built platform rather than manually. So that behavioural change we see accelerating next year.